She abandoned us, then took over everything I built. Hi, I don't know why I'm writing this, but maybe someone out there will understand what it feels like to give your soul to something, only to have someone else rip it away like it was never yours to begin with. My name's Maddie, I'm 29 years old, and for the last 6 years I've run my mom's old bakery, Flour and Soul. It used to be hers, her dream. After she passed from cancer, it became mine. My dad was too grief-stricken to care. My sister, Riley, she packed her bags and left within a week of the funeral. Said she couldn't be stuck in a small town baking bread. That was 5 years ago. She never called. Not even on Mom's birthday. I poured everything into that bakery. I slept in the back room during the first year. I maxed out 2 credit cards just to keep the lights on. Learned how to manage vendors, bake and bulk design logos. All by watching at 2 a.m. with flour still on my hands. It was slow, painful, lonely. But then it started to work. Locals came. Then tourists. Our cinnamon apple tart went viral on a travel blog. Business picked up. We expanded. And that's when Riley came back. Riley didn't want to bake Saeed. The kitchen gave her anxiety. But she was good at marketing. She filmed and revamped our social media, made some flashy ads. Within weeks, we had twice the foot traffic. She started calling herself co-owner in interviews. Took selfies out front with fans. Said she revived the bakery. I let it slide at first, until the day she changed the sign. It all came to a head during an interview. With a local food network, I wasn't even invited. I saw the segment on TV. Riley smiled, talking about how she turned her mother's bakery into a viral sensation, said I supported her behind the scenes. I stared at the screen, jaw clenched. Later that night, I confronted her in the kitchen. Why are you acting like this is all yours? I asked. It basically is. You had a cute bakery, Maddie. I made it a brand, she said. I built this from nothing, I told her. And I made it something people care about. You should be thanking me, she said. I should have screamed, but I didn't. I walked away. The next morning, I didn't go to the bakery. I sat at my laptop for hours instead, digging through emails, receipts, payment records, all the evidence of what I had built. And I found something else. Riley had rerouted 30% of our merch sales to her own account. She was stealing from the business. I copied everything to a flash drive. Then I sent it anonymously to a journalist. I sat on the cold kitchen floor, the recipe book in my lap, that letter in my hands. Mom's words, they cracked something open in me. For years, I'd been clinging to the idea that maybe Riley came back because she cared, that maybe we were healing, that this bakery could bring us back together. But the truth, she didn't come back to remember Mom. She came back to erase me. I held that letter like it was a lifeline. I even took a picture of it just in case. She tried to deny its existence someday, and I realized Mom always knew who I was, even if Riley never did. The next morning I didn't go in, but my assistant manager Grace texted me, "Hey Maddie, things feel weird without you. Riley says you're taking a break, but we all know something's up. You okay?" I stared at the message. Grace had worked for me for 3 years. She was there during the lean months, cried with me when we finally broke even. I texted back, "Check the invoices from the last 2 months. Look at the deposit accounts. You'll know everything you need." She didn't reply for an hour, then, "Oh my God, Maddie, I had no idea. What do you want us to do?" It hit me like a wave. The staff wasn't with her. They were with me. That evening, Grace called me from her car, whispering, "She's freaking out. I think she knows something's wrong. You should have seen her when she saw the teaser on the news." "What did she do?" I asked. "She threw a cupcake at the TV," Grace said. We both laughed. The first time I had laughed in weeks, but then Grace said something that gave me pause. She told one of the customers that you never really cared about the bakery, that you only came back because you had nowhere else to go, Grace told me. I went silent, because in Riley's twisted little world, maybe that's what she actually believed. But I lived that bakery. I bled for it, and I wasn't going to let her rewrite the truth. I thought I was done with all of this. I thought sending that flash drive and walking away was the end. But then the journalist I'd sent it to, a woman named Vanessa, found me. She emailed me directly. "Hi Maddie, I've reviewed everything. I have to say, this is more than a viral bakery story. This is a family imploding. Would you be willing to talk even anonymously?" I hesitated. I'd stayed in the shadows long enough. I replied, "If you want the truth, I'll give it. But no edits, no filters, just the real story." It was quiet, intimate, just me and a mic. She asked questions, and I answered. About Mom, about Riley, about the bakery, about the night I slept on flour sacks just to afford rent. I didn't cry, not once. At the end, Vanessa said, "Maddie, I think people need to hear this. Not just because of what Riley did, but because of what you did. You built something out of grief. That's not just a story, that's a legacy. The night before the news piece aired, I went back to the bakery. I stood outside for a long time, just watching the lights were on. Customers laughed inside. It was beautiful. It was mine. Riley came out, phone to her ear, barking orders at someone she didn't see me. For a second, I thought about walking in just one final confrontation. But I didn't, because I didn't need to prove anything to her anymore. I already had everything I needed. The next day, the teaser aired again, now with a new tagline. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., the rise and ruin of a family bakery, the Maddie and Riley story. Riley's face was on screen. So was mine just once at the end. And in the background, the sound of my voice saying, sometimes the truth is hidden under layers of sugar and frosting, but it always rises like dough in the oven. The bakery's lights were off that night. Unusual for a Saturday. But I knew why. Inside, Riley was spiraling. I watched from across the street. Grace texted me. She's called every lawyer she knows. She thinks she can block the segment, but she couldn't, because the story was true. And truth doesn't need permission to be told. The door creaked open. Riley came out, pacing, phone to her ear. I decided no more shadows. I crossed the street. Looking for a new face for your empire, I asked. She turned sharply, eyes wide, shocked. What are you doing here, watching the end of your act? Please, no one's going to care. You think they're gonna side with the poor sister sob story? This bakery was nothing before me, she told me. I stepped closer, calm, steady. Mom wrote you a letter. She told you not to take what wasn't. Yours, you read it, L, and you still did it, I said. She froze. I showed her the photo of Mom's letter on my phone. It wasn't supposed to be yours. Yeah, I know. She turned away, voice shaking now. You don't get it, you always had everything. Mom's approval, the team's loyalty, the oven settings. I had nothing I had to make me matter, she told me. So you burned the only bridge that was ever real, I said. There was a long silence. I was willing to share this with you, Riley. You just didn't want to share it with me, I whispered. At 7 p.m. sharp, the story aired. Footage rolled, a slow pan of the bakery, old photos of me and Mom, side-by-side comparisons of recipes, financial documents, and a voiceover that pulled no punches. When Riley returned, the business had already made it. What she brought wasn't vision, it was conflict. Then came the last segment, my voice. I gave up everything to save this bakery. I lost friends, I lost time, I even lost myself. But I never stopped believing it could be more. I just never imagined the thing that would break it was blood. Comments flooded in. Grace told me the Yelp page exploded. Customers called, demanding answers. And the final blow. Our landlord, who'd seen the story, told Riley the lease would not be renewed. Turns out he preferred dealing with the one who paid rent on time during the hard years. That night, the keys were officially turned over. To me, I didn't reopen right away. I painted, I cleaned, I restored. I let the space breathe again. A week later, I unveiled the new name, Second Rise Bakery. Underneath it, in small cursive font. For Mom, the line stretches around the block now. I don't work the register anymore. I teach baking classes in the evenings. We donate 10% of profits to small, family-owned businesses trying to recover from hardship. I don't talk to Riley anymore, but sometimes I see her in town, always walking fast, always looking away. I don't chase her. Some people are just chapters in your book, not the whole story. And me, I finally started mine.